Climate change is all the rage these days, and with the possibility of the world dying from it, it's no wonder many are rushing to find new solutions to it. Notable ones include AOC's Green New Deal, but the European Union has proposed their own counterpart with the European Green Deal. How unique of a name. Similar to the American version, this Green Deal consists of large-scale government spending, intervention, and regulations with the aim of rapidly transitioning society to not be fossil fuel dependent. But there has been a more market-friendly experiment within this proposal. It is called the EU Emissions Trading System. Also known as the carbon market, it was instituted by the EU back in 2005 across a certain number of businesses and sectors. But now the EU wants to expand the emissions system to new sectors, specifically to the maritime sector and road transport. It is also intended that airlines receive less trading permits, and the EU will even help other countries in developing their own emissions trading systems. The system involves the use of trading permits for businesses emitting carbon dioxide. These trading permits are used within a certain specified period where a limit is placed on carbon dioxide emissions produced. At the start of each period, all companies who want to emit carbon emissions will buy these trading permits, where each trading permit will allow the company to emit, say, 1 ton of carbon. If one company emits less carbon than is allowed at the end of a period, then they can cash those permits in and gain money, or save those permits for the next period and emit more than what they would have been allowed. If another company emitted more than what was allowed in the same period, then they would have to buy those permits from other companies or pay a fine to the government at the end of the period. So how effective was it since 2005? Well, according to a study done by Imperial University, in the first 2 years of Phase 1, carbon dioxide emissions were cut by 2.4% to 4.7%, and in Phase 2, carbon dioxide emissions were cut by 3.35% on average. Of course, most of the CO2 reductions occurred in the EU 15 countries rather than the Eastern European states that joined in 2004, since they are more fossil fuel dependent. Regulations and limits on carbon emissions will force companies to either pay for the trading permits or invest in research and development, which will increase production costs. This may lead firms to pass the cost onto consumers, though this effect depends on market power, price elasticity of demand, and the extent that firms can absorb the cost. Regardless, the emissions system has incentivized research and development, where regulated companies had 8.5% more patents for cleantech innovation than unregulated companies, as well as leading to research spillover effects to other companies, which creates a positive externality to society by developing more solutions to climate change. But it appears that the benefits of innovation decreases if there are more trading permits obtained for free, which is probably why the EU wants to cut free permits for aeroplanes. Good thing that in Phase 3 companies will have to pay for permits rather than get them for free. Though the emissions trading system has received some criticism over the years. Despite there being no effect found on employment, 18 countries had a small but statistically significant fall of 0.9% in employment for regulated companies versus unregulated companies. In addition, managers within 6 countries have reported a higher risk of downsizing than unregulated firms. Some have argued that political pressure had kept the price of carbon trading permits low, reducing its effectiveness. Since the 2007 cap was 8.3% higher than the verified 2005 greenhouse emissions, and that only 3 countries had caps below the 2005 verified emissions. Political lobbying also appears to have led to too many trading permits. To make matters worse, innovations such as renewable energies would reduce demand for trading permits, reducing the permit prices down, hence decreasing the returns to investors. And the EU's carbon market has high levels of price volatility, fluctuating between €30 and €0.3 over 5 years. This lack of stability and confidence caused by the price volatility and the fall in price of trading permits would discourage investors from privately financing the emissions trading system. The study can also be limited by fall in carbon emissions being caused by outside factors like the 2008 recession, and that it has only existed for a short time, so it would be much harder to understand its long-term effects. Hence, more studies would be needed to evaluate the true benefit of a carbon market. But the main worry about the expansion of this system is that it may lead to carbon leakage, since companies may move and emit their emissions elsewhere, or would just outsource it to foreign divisions in less regulated environments. The European Union hoped to use free permits to deal with carbon leakages, but this appears ineffective. So what solution would the EU need for this dilemma? Well, I will get to it in my next video. In fact, I'm going to cover the whole European Green Deal and its probable economic effects on the EU, hopefully next week. It was meant to be this week, but the emissions trading part was too long, so I thought I'd go into a lot more detail today and insert a more summarized version in my European Green Deal video next week. Sources are in the description. P.S. I've launched a friendly subscriber war with a channel called Conservative Wire, so consider subscribing to him. His channel is linked in the pinned comment below, and also like and comment as it really helps my video in the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing to me as well if you like economics and political content.